I thought that I wouldn't miss an opportunity, especially when I have to deal with the very young. And I'm not sure whether you're Gen Y or Gen X or Gen Z, but I know that definitely you're younger than me. When I got a note from Farhana, and he mentioned that she's looking for me to speak, I'm sure she was surprised to see that actually I replied very fast. Right? I think she caught me at a very right moment. It was actually quite late in the evening at my office, and I was just finishing the day and browsing through some of my emails, and immediately we connected. We connected through your organization, and it immediately gave me, what shall I say, the passion of wanting to share with all of you what I've been through, what I think that we all can take away, the things that I can learn from you, and the things that you can learn from me as well. So I actually replied to her. I said I would love to do it, because I think if there's one affinity that I'm always believe in the future of the young leaders. And I hope in the things that I connect with, and the things that I do, that at the end of the day, it's how in my own way, where I would at least facilitate and enable the young leaders to make it, to succeed, and to be able to sustain your ambition for the next level of your own personal threshold. So on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I've been told that maybe a topic that I should talk about is called, Great Ladies at Work, Great Women at Work. Now, having in some ways made some success in the professional world, and or have been seen to be, say, among the first in some areas, I still would stand humbly here and tell you that there are a lot of things I have not succeeded as well. But in many ways, I think relatively, maybe there has been some success. But the key question I always ask myself is, ad hoc success or a short-term success versus a sustainable success. And that sustainable success is about sustainable leadership and how we consistently act and behave in the way we need to lead and to create value for all the stakeholders in one way or the other. Now, the topic about what great ladies at work or great women at work, I think is getting less relevant in this very flat and globalized world. Why is this so? Now, as a woman, I would feel very offended, to be told that I made it because there is a quota for women, or there is because that the women, they've got it their way. I don't think I would feel that way. I would work very hard for it, believe me. And I think a lot of the ladies out there will tell you that we had to work 3 times harder than how the average man started. But I think that is changing, because today, if you throw a stone everywhere, chances that you hit a women leader. And that comes about because I hope in my own small way, especially in the Malaysian scene, that I have done my part to pave the way for women leadership. Now, the question is what women want in leadership, or how women succeed in leadership. When I share with you later on the few pages that it will not just apply to women, it applies to every professional. And I think to hop it around the gender issue would also be not right. And when I first went to Hong Leong in 2005, 2004, one of the key things that I came up with a statement was, being in a very Chinese company. Just now I met one guy who said he who started college here. And then I'm sure that if you go back to Hong Kong today, it's a very, very different animal from when you left it. And I think that difference is because whoever is the leadership of the day, or at least running the bank at that point of time, and the bank running today, is about how we manage talent, how we enable talent to move up the ladder, and how we create the environment for people to succeed. And if I like to be associated with success in any way, it is in the way people talk about the opportunities that are given to them under your leadership. And that to me is more important than say I was the one that made the first billion ringgit profit from online bank. It was the fact that I've given the opportunities for the team to come up and grow to where they are today. And in the process, I've enabled the 1 billion leadership because no one can do it on its own. That to me is something very important. Now I would like to share for you another view from a woman's perspective. Now when people will tell me, they say, oh, she's so busy with her career, she's obviously not a very good mother or not a very good family person, or she doesn't think about the family. I really take offense with that because I want to share with you this, and all the women in this room will agree with me. Can I turn to the second page, please? And it basically says, whoever is doing this slide, just press the second page there. The key crux of every women leader, or every woman who wants to go, yes, thank you, who wants to go into a very successful career is about, I call it the sense of purpose. What is the sense of purpose? From a very onset, people think that just because we are successful in our careers, we've never thought about the family. In fact, and it's not in spite of, it is exactly because of we want to do the best for the family, to give the opportunities to the family. And that's what actually is the key driver to the way we work and the way we think and the way we move. It's not in spite of, it is actually because of. So the purpose of the family unit, of wanting to enable ourselves to improve our own standards of living, to improve the reach for us to enjoy life better than what we have grown up to be. That is the purpose of any woman, or in fact for that matter, any man, in the way they drive their career. And I'd like to share with you a little bit of this. You see, I was a very lucky woman in the sense that I always consider myself very blessed because of the opportunities. They have shaped me for what gave me the opportunity to shape me to be a much stronger character. I'm very much a father's daughter. Like all the girls today, I think a lot of us are a father's daughter. And there were a lot of opportunities given to me in a sense that I grew up to be very entrepreneurial because I was always following my father in a little small town. It's not that small because we cover a few districts, and what we did was we had a grocery shop, we had a petrol pump station, we had dry wet groceries, we had lorries to rent out to and everything. So I used to follow my dad, and in the process of that, I learned how to collect money, when you collect debtors. The one I'm very good at. So don't owe me money on that. The second thing that I think I was very good at is to watch the art of selling. And all my elder brothers and sisters were actually overseas at the point of time, and I was probably the middle child that was very much back home. In the process, I learned a lot, I think. But I think when I was about 12 years old, I just lost someone that I was so dependent on. And in that process of losing that, and there were a few years that I just felt that I was a lost soul. It actually developed me to be a very strong character. But the underlying values of that has never changed. And then that forced me to be very determined to make sure that I must not fail what I was given the first 12 years of my life. I was actually guided in very much the practical world rather than the IQ world. And I will also share with you the other way why sometimes your background makes you what you are. When I was until about in my primary school, I was very slow in the way I had some speech problems, and it took me a while to finally get to where I got. And that time, I think nobody understood how to guide the child in that. So what I did was, everything I did was through memory. So today, if I have developed certain strengths, there are two strengths that I think I developed as a result of that environment. One was, I think I have a really good memory, and I can pick up things very fast. And second thing that I won't say pick up things, I can remember things, and training my brain how to remember. And the other one was the pure tenacious and determination to get what I want. Failure is never an option to me, because I will make sure that I will make it. Even if I get 80% of my original outcome, that will be what I will drive myself to do. Now, coming back to this is why I shared with you a little bit, is because I wanted to tell you that at the end of the day, the family is the nucleus of why you want to do well. So the purpose of that is no different from what a man wants to lead or give a better lifestyle to your children. And because of that experience, I told myself that no, I must not make sure that when I'm a mother, I want to provide my children with the best and enable them to give them an opportunity. In the process, while your husband is building his own career, if you can enable it and help you, why not? So in that process, and exactly because, and this is where we are going to have a slight difference in view here, I think. I think a lot of you would not agree with me, but I'll share with you my view. Now my view is this, that while the family drives the purpose, there's a role model of a husband and a mother and a working partner. In the process of bringing up the kids, there is the IQ, there is the EQ, and there is the academic achievements. And believe it or not, if I were to share with you that I was never driven by pure academic achievements in the way I drive myself when I was younger, in the way I drove my children, or in the way that how today mothers compete or actually try to live themselves out in their kids in the academic world or the academic achievement. Because I was actually quite different from the ordinary mother. Having had a much slower start as in a primary school and finally made it as a CEO several times over, I told myself, I don't think it's all about the 10 A's. It has to be about being among the top 25% of the class, but having all the other ingredients to make yourself a team player, an inspiring leader, a motivator, someone you can engage and you brings in the crowd. The reason why I say that, because having lost somebody that you cared so much when you were young, as a mother, the first thing that I feared was that will happen to my children. So for me, I'm a slightly different type of a leader. I actually built EI first. EI is not about emotional intelligence to me. EI is about emotional independence to me. What is it? It is the fact that you do not sell your soul. You do not give away your values as you go through the difficult part of having to survive certain traumatic incidents in your life. Having been through that, I wanted to make sure that my kids do not sell their soul and give up something that had the potential over a short-term pain that they're going through and losing out the longer-term potential in them. And this is called emotional intelligence, means you must make sure that at the end of the day you're able to make discerning decisions. Now what I share with you is no different when you are running as a leader today. You're running a team of your work. Do you sell your soul or soul your colleagues out just because you're trying to run over and get over the same position that you were aiming for and there's an opportunity now to get it? Do you actually sell yourself short by giving in to a lot of below the belt hits and criticisms at your colleagues who has an equal chance of getting the promotion that you are aiming for? Now, what I share with you today has a lot to do with how you're going to build up your career over time. Now that to me was very important, because once you have emotional intelligence, even if I'm late in learning how to get the academics right, I have time to get it right. But the values of getting the emotional intelligence and emotional independence of it start from when you're young. Today, when you read about CEOs having abused systems, abused the governance, it's not about the best education that they have. It's all about the values that they have. That values come from a combination of how you've been brought up and how you have learned from the environment and how you adapt to change, how you pick the good points and learn from other people's mistakes, and so that you don't have to live through what you have to live through. So that emotional independence combined with academic achievement is a potent combination. But if you have pure academic achievement without the right values, you cannot sustain as you rise the ladder. You will be subject to temptation, greed, politics, within the organization, within the things that you're doing, and somewhere along the line, you will fall. To sustain that, the underlying values must be there. And if you know your values are there, and you have the conviction, and truth will always prevail, deal with the facts, I think you will make it. You will survive it. Over and above that, I don't think you can get away without academic knowledge. Don't get me wrong for that. But I don't have to have 10 A's. I don't have to be 4/4 GPA. But I must have at least 3.2 and above. Maybe my standards are a bit low, a lot of them must be above 3.5. Okay? But today, as I speak to you, a lot of the people that I meet with, in fact, every day I meet people who are very, very smart. And I pull them aside. You know, the way you go about it, your attitude is going to, you're not going to make it anywhere you go. Today, I'm an honest CEO, I tell you that you will make that. These are your issues. Not every CEO has got the time to give you and tell you that you are technically very smart. But unfortunately, you won't make it in the real world because you don't have the art of how to work as a co-worker, how to interact, how to be humble and say sorry, how to not to take credit for yourself and it's other people's work. All those things comes together to make you a true leader. And only over time can you actually climb up that ladder, because time will always tell you, no one person can drive results on their own. And that leads me to the second point about, next page please. The second point about, at the end of the day, it's about passion and energy. Now, if you have the right passion, the right energy, the right attitude, nothing is impossible. You can earn it, you can learn it, you can do a lot of things at the second stage of your career by acquiring knowledge. The only thing you can do is two things. First, you must have the passion to do it. And the passion can only come first, the energy. The energy can only come when you are healthy yourself. Otherwise, with all the intentions, your body will tell you, no, you can't make it. You can't climb up the stairs, you can't work until 2 o'clock in the morning. You know, all these things will come about if you have the right passion. I'm actually one of those lucky persons who's above 50 years old, who continues to be pretty energetic, and it just comes from within. It comes within. When you have the energy and the passion, the purpose will come out. If you don't have the energy and the passion, the purpose will not come out. How do you imagine going to office every day? Feeling tired, you drag yourself to the office. That can only come up when you can align yourself with the role that you are doing. And therefore, the engagement, the emotional savviness, all those things comes about because you are doing something that you love. When you do something that you love, you don't feel the tension, you don't feel the stress. It's like, because it's the purpose in it. You're enjoying every minute of it. The day I have to drag myself out of bed, I think I'm in the wrong job. So, to do the best that you can, obviously you try to a line between your love for what you do, your job that you do for a living, and something that you think you can sustain it. Now, if you connect all these three, that you can actually do something to sustain it, you must love it. To love it, in some ways, you have to jive with your interests, your competency, and your strengths. So all this will come about, and you will know it as you grow deeper into your jobs, how all these three comes together. I cannot give a specific formula to anybody specific, because it is your own environment, your own situation as a wife, as a partner, or as a daughter, because you have other roles that we have. As I said, God has made us in such a way, we are such a great multitasker. In the process of all that, that's why we are very strong. A lot of people do not realize, if I have to say who is stronger, so I don't want to create a debate here. I can tell you women are stronger. Gender. It's because it's in us, it's innate in us. We multitask, we automatically grow to become a mother the day we deliver babies. Having no experience in it just comes automatically. I used to tell my kids, and I have 3 kids, and I used to tell them, and one of them used to be very upset, why are you always giving time to that particular child? I said, it's very simple. That child needs a bit more help. These 2 children need less help, so you try to figure out on your own first. It's natural. So it's the same thing. How we engage with our colleagues. The colleagues that is actually able to work on his own, we leave them alone. Those that needs to be coached, we wouldn't try to coach them. So, in some ways, because of the passion, the nature and the nurture, we have actually become a very natural person when it comes to, they call it soft power building. The soft power building, some men call it, we use our woman charm. I put down, the soft power building is actually the multitasking of where we have developed the nurture. It's no difference when I want to get my son to do something and he refused to do it. How do I find a way to get him to do it? Is to do to other soft power by talking him into certain things, bringing him to a show, and then say, okay, you agree with me. So it is slightly, it's no different than in the office. A little bit maybe slightly different. In fact, in some ways, how we use our intuition. A mother has an intuition, a very strong sixth sense. This makes women leaders slightly ahead of men. Guys can look at everything, it's so cold, it's so dry. I said, can't figure out, didn't you realize that guy was upset? Oh, really? He was upset. I said, it was so obvious. They can't see it. They can't see it. And then we come up with everything, they just see the body language there. They also cannot see it. They said, oh, okay, never mind. So, in some ways, they're very cut and dry. But when it comes to telling the bad news, I'm sorry, you guys are very poor at that. The guys are very poor at telling the bad news. For all the macho that we talk about, the six-pack, when it comes to telling the bad news, nobody will tell the bad news. I'm serious. I say, well, you have to tell the guy that he's not performing. To be fair, just give him a chance, tell him so that he can either look outside, or then we see how we can guide him. 3 weeks later, have you told him, don't you have fine? 3 weeks later, well, a woman in 10 minutes, I told him already. So I think that there are some things that makes a different type of a leader between a man and a woman. And I wanted to actually close up with a few things. You see, the next page shows that this is what a typical woman is. And the next slide tells this. Okay, adaptability. I think men are not agile and not adaptable enough. Ever sat next to your husband or your boyfriend in a car and tell him that he's just took the wrong turn and tell him, can you please stop by and ask the guard there? They will never stop and ask the guard there. Where is the direction? Why? Can you explain to me? Can you explain why? Yeah, but we've gone around 3 times already. We're tired. I'm hungry.
Too proud to admit that.
Yeah, that is something that happens all over the world. But having said that, I cannot read the map either. I also can't figure out the directions of the map. So what we don't even attempt to read the direction. What I do, I stop by and say, Uncle, what is this? Another 1 kilometer. Hey, Uncle, what about this? He said, then the guy next to me, the guy said, turn right, turn left. What are you asking? I said, because we don't know how to read maps. But those days, but you know what I'm basically saying is there are really clear certain things that are very different from women as a whole. And I thought that as a women leader, there are two ways to look at women. Women can be the very worst enemies, and women can be very my enemies. I hope I fall on the latter. And because at the end of the day, I think the confidence that you deal with facts, don't be even affected. Don't be affected by what the side talk is, the noise is, who says what, just don't bother. You yourself must know exactly your own conviction and the true values. So don't be bothered by that. And the last page is about, in many ways, I really hope that I have paved the way. I don't think I can take credit for that. I must give credit to the men bosses who believe in the women. Okay? Because the men bosses is the one who allow us to bring in the women, and we bring in another women. So I don't think it is appropriate for me to end up and think that you all get away, only women leadership survives. There are certain criteria today that is neutral for men and women in the way we talk about sustainable leadership. So when people say people make the difference, it's not about men and women, it's about the best of strategies will not happen into results unless you're surround or you hire people, the right people to help you execute the strategy. It's very easy to hire a consulting firm and advise to tell us we are going to go from number 6 bank to number 4 bank. How? Then you put all the consultancy and put all the building blocks. Who's going to execute it? Why is it that you have the same strategy as I have, but I can execute? I don't think there's any magic to it, but it's surrounding yourself with the right people. So before I end, I just want to share with you some key I call it the key recurring factors that in my experience matters whether you're a man or a woman leader. And the first, I think, surround yourself with the right attitude. It's not surround yourself with the right technical people. Surround yourself with the right attitude. Because the right technical people with the right competency is given. If you want to do the value of branch banking proposition, you don't want to bring a music writer to go and hate this unit, for example. Obviously, you bring in the right competency. But everything being almost equal is the right leader is able to lead. The reason I say this is you have the right attitude, you have the ability to embrace change, the ability to listen, the ability to be humble about where you've gone wrong, and then take other people's ideas. And then when we have all this combination, we have an excellent attitude. That will make the difference. Like for me, I find it very irritating when I go to my branches, for example. And I walk into a branch and I find that the branch is dirty. Now, what's the point of all that? Now, so who is the leader? Just because you think you're a leader, you're too high powered enough to go and make sure the toilet is clean, but it's under your watch. Obviously, you may not do it, but you have to organize to do it. So I think the minute you walk into an office and the office is dirty and messy, that is also an attitude impression as well. In fact, I just came out from a meeting just now, and I was very, it probably irked me a little bit, and there was something which they shouldn't walk into the meeting with such a glaring example of such of a number that cannot reconcile, and expect for us to talk around it. You should prepare yourself and say to expect that question is going to be asked. So that's what I mean by attitude. So first one is surround yourself with the right attitude. The second point, as I said just now, is male or female is for energy and enthusiasm. So why is it that some people just attracts people? Some people with all the cleverness cannot attract people. I can't explain that. It's either because you come across that you are genuinely interested in people, but whatever it is, some people just light up everything around them. So I think one of the best things is occasionally if you don't know anything, just smile. No, but no, on a serious note, if you are a leader, you have a profound influence on the team around you. Now, sometimes when I look at a group of people today, and they are so demanding, the boss is so demanding, yet the people will work for them. When there's another boss that's not demanding, and you expect that the people that to make you earn the same salary, okay? So to make life easy, you go to the less demanding leader. No, invariably they look for someone where they can learn, they can be a part of it, that wants to surround all these people. You know, I had a real, and I see every time there was this girl that I really care about. She was very good. But somehow, the other girl that I brought in, they cannot get along. So anyway, so I said, now you have a chance to move forward and lead the team. You have a chance to lead to report to this guy, and you have a chance to report to this lady, which I know you don't get along. I was utterly surprised when she said, no, I want to work for this lady. And I said, why? It's because it's very simple. She stands up for all she believes in. And I have, rather that she stands up for me and fight for my pay and my bonus, than a nice boss who never fights for me. So you see what I mean? So at the end of the day, as leaders, we must first have the conviction, earlier that I said, the right attitude, then the energy and the enthusiasm to make it happen. So please go down to the ground, network, dirty your hands. Don't tai chi around at the head office. It cannot work. It just can't work. And another key thing about leadership is about our role. When you run a team of 10 people, 30 people, 50 people, you must know your role. As you move up the ladder, your role is no more about technical competence. Your role is how to get the team to gel together, to enable them to succeed. Now, the first thing I tell people is that obviously I grew into this role. Don't forget that I also learned from all of you. It was the first time as a CEO. I was also learning a lot of things, made a lot of mistakes, stumbled. But the key thing today I tell myself, what's my role today? My role as a CEO is first is to enable success, to create value for my stakeholders. To do that, to create value for them, I must provide and organize myself, provide the tools to my people, manage conflicts, prioritize what matters to us, and allocate the resources where it makes sense. It's not about, if technical competence is given, don't come and tell me she's very good. Who cares? That's given, I've done that, I've proven it, I have nothing to prove now. What I need to prove now, I hope I've proven some already, is whether I can lead people, I can lead teams to success. That's what leadership is about, and this is what your organization today, all of you today, given that you all are in the top 25% of the quartile that I talk about, I give to you that you all have the passion to want to be a leader. I give to you are technically competent. I give to you that you are enthusiastic to rise up the ladder. These are the soft things that I hope to share with you that your university education cannot teach you. It comes from getting the values at home. You nurture it over the years, and you learn. You fall, you learn, you come out of it, and you move on. So the next role for a leader is the role clarity. You must know exactly what is your role. Now, if you today suddenly become a team leader, which you earlier was one of the peers, how do you manage that? It's a slightly different role. Clarity of the roles, understands each one of you are quite different. The quality of how the team comes together, and the diversity and quality of competency will make the team very good. So that I don't profess to it that I have the competency in every area. But I tell my colleagues, why are you scared to bring in a more competent person? Because if you know how to manage leadership, you will know how to guide this guy and yet make sure that you are still boss. Okay? At the same time, must pay him for him to stay around so that you still look good, because you need him. And it's the right time when he can take away at all. That is an art in itself. That is an art in itself. And that comes with being confident. And if you know, for example, today, and that happens in the real world a lot, because today in the banking system, if you've been in banks 10 years before and now today, if you don't change the way you drive technology, the way you drive the people, the way you drive processes, you cannot make it. When I joined Hong Leong Bank, it was actually a good bank. There's no reason, there was no major NPLs or everything. So how could I make a company that is good to great? That's a tougher challenge than how, when I was running Sign Bank on behalf of the central bank for a while, that time was different. How to save the bank from the downturns and not to cause a systemic risk to the fall of the banking system. That means when I was working for Sign Bank for 18 months, I was concurrently the CEO of RHB Bank. So I did make the Guinness Book of Records on this, which is I was the CEO of 2 banks concurrently. But it was interesting. It was interesting in the sense that one role was to make sure the bank doesn't fall and cause a systemic domino effect. This role with Hong Leong is about to make it from good to great. So because of that, I applied 2 different leadership styles. I applied my nurture style in the first year of transformation in Hong Kong. The nurture as in women nurture. While in the case of the Sign Bank, I was a very dominant. It was a very dominant. It was a dominant part of me that I need to use on to get things going. So it's like different folks with different strokes. But the point I'm trying to say here is that if we are prima donnas, we cannot. We just can't. We have to remember that in the team that we have, there's a group of them that can be left alone. And there's a group of them that you need to hold your hands. And as you move up the ladder, you must know how to connect the dots. If you cannot connect the dots and say today the interest rate hike in America, suddenly there is all the ports are closed because of tsunami in Japan. You must be able to connect the dots. What does that have implications on your business? You must be able to just snap it up immediately. What's happening in Japan? You're making phone calls. For example, if I have just approved, say, a large line of credit to a big LC shipment on a Japanese company, immediately I will immediately call, oh my God, I think the ship has been sunk, all the inventories have been gone. Now if you sit down there and say, wow, tsunami in the process, how do you connect the dots and how does it affect your business? How does it affect your loved ones who are studying there and doing anything? But the key thing as a CEO, not only as a CEO, as a person running a trade finance division, as a person who runs a supply chain that's dependent on Japan, your mind must already click very fast. So if you have, if you cannot see how your role fits into the bigger picture, you're not ready to be a leader or to be a team leader. You know, I get very frustrated because it becomes I'm managing you. Why am I micromanaging? I shouldn't be micromanaging at my level. I only micromanage is somehow when you cannot connect the dots. If you can connect the dots, I will tell you, based on this meeting, can you please see what's the outcome of this stress scenario? Can you please look at it? I think the economy is going to go 5%, this. Can you just see what's the impact on this? Once I tell you this, you should actually know what to do. But if I literally have to guide you which factor to go, which factor of this, then I've got the wrong leader. This is what we mean by the ability to connect the dots. And the focus is no more just about your department in crisis. It's about the franchise, it's about the enterprise, and how we all come together to connect the dots and make the difference. Of course, another key thing is about, as you said just now, it's about having the right people to connect the dots. Obviously, have I made mistake in hiring people? I have not made a lot of mistakes in hiring people. If there's one thing I must share with you as a woman is I must listen to my intuition. Every time I allow my intuition, I decided not to listen to my intuition. Every time I'm wrong. So I learned one thing with all the factual facts. How you walk into a room and feel the guy is somewhere, all his cleverness, his eyes doesn't come across that he's genuine. This type of little things tells you. That gut feel comes from years of experience. But in the meantime, please don't forget we need the facts too. The facts coupled with this discerning, you call it intuition or you call it experience. Intuition comes from experience. You combine all this, then you make a decision. The decision can never be cut just purely in numbers per se. Like when we recently took over Leong Bank and did a merger, I look at one or two things. The first thing I look at is, I'm not going to do this. But I don't tell the people at that point of time because I'm in the process of merger. At the right time, we say the key thing is, as a boss, right time, timing is important. Timing. If you catch the wrong timing, whether you're talking about managing people up or managing people down or managing the enterprise into growth areas, the best of ideas can fail in a down economy. So managing ideas. So you're the boss, you cannot decide what do. You tell your people, hey, the policy says cannot do this. No, I don't think that's it. No policy is cut in stone. A policy is to guide. Rules and regulations are to guide because in an organization where I run, there are 11,000 people. I can only put you a policy to allow the consistency of service at my branches. That is why the policy is written. But don't come and tell me you use the policy to deny the customer what is rightfully his. But I get very upset when people come and tell me that over a small little thing they decline a particular check. I said, why did you do that? Don't you know your client? Oh, because the policy says I cannot give the template overdraft. But then the policy has to jump into the lake. Why didn't you jump into the lake? But you must ask yourself to do this. The policy says, as a general rule, you do not allow customers to exceed their account. But if you know the pattern of the customer's behavior, that actually, if you look at the last customer's 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, that every day on the 23rd of September he receives a salary, his boss, his company cuts a salary on the 23rd. And for whatever reason he's out of pocket on the 21st, you must be able to make a discerning decision. Now if you cannot make a decision, then you're a robot. I told them I should automate that, let the robot do all of this. So this is again coming to conviction of understanding your customer, understanding your environment, and how you interpret the policy and culture. Well, I get very upset when I get, personally I get very upset. I cannot tolerate comments and complaints about customer convenience. Because that means you're not exercising your judgment and therefore you're not exercising your leadership, which is to make a discerning decision based on the culture and the environment that you are in. Let's say, for example, today you have 100,000 fixed deposit in the bank, but it is not due until, say, March 31st. Emergency, you need to withdraw. So I told my people, first party, right? So this guy, you have the thing in your hand, you cannot make a decision, then you're not ready to be a leader. What else? I can't spoon feed you, to make these decisions. So the combination of technical knowledge, corporate philosophy, the environmental culture, what are the rules of the game will make that difference. And I think the last things I can only say is that you have to embrace change and be humble, walk the line, then you will only know the truth. So whether it's male or female, what I've elaborated on the last 4 key factors will make the difference in leadership, in what I call sustainable leadership, which is what my dad told me. He says this when somebody opens the door for you. must make sure you know how to stay inside when the guy closes the door and he moves. That's sustainable leadership. I may have got the fortune of people who believe in me, and I always thank Tan Sri Rashid for that. And when we met, I was like one of you here today, and I obviously there's something that caught that. They probably caught his belief in me was, I guess, in some of the decisions that I made. And when I was first hired into it, I was only hired as the General Manager of Project and Structural Finance. And before I knew it, in 6 months I was Deputy CEO. And when I heard in the market that I was going to be the next CEO, I never told anybody, I never asked. He teased me, but I never asked because I just felt at that point of time the environment was not really for a women CEO. And I think for a stroke of luck or everything, it was the right people at the right place that probably believed in it, and probably I was at the right time, okay, when the environment, the ecosystem was changing that women can lead. I think if I was any earlier 5 years, I don't think I would have been it. It was the right time. So do you believe in a little bit of faith and luck and whatever you reach your success in life? I believe in it thoroughly. And for all my hard work, I know how to grab the opportunities when they come. The luck brings the opportunities. But if you don't have the hard work, when the luck brings the opportunities, you can miss it. So hard work matters, luck matters, timing matters. With that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you.
Thank you very much, Dato'. I think that was a very, very heartwarming and insightful talk. Before we go any further, I'd like to open the floor for questions. Yes. You can just come in the middle and I'll give you the mic. Please keep your questions short and pointed, and maybe you'd like to introduce yourself as well. Thank you.
Good evening, Dato'. My name is Husaini Abdul Karim. I'm a struggling entrepreneur. I have a small manufacturing company, and I know I'm struggling. I mean, I'm surprised you didn't talk about banking at all. I was expecting a CEO to talk about banking. Anyway, I want to share something with you which you might not know, or which you know better. This is about why entrepreneurs like me are struggling. So our basic, the most important or most difficult problem that we are facing now is actually financing, access to financing. And the government has set up many agencies. There are 14 ministries and 64, but 14 ministries and 65 agencies set up to assist entrepreneurs in this country. All, I'm not talking only about Bumi Putra, I'm talking about all Malaysians. Yes. But in my case, when I try to apply loans, chances are I will not get them. And they will never tell me why. Okay? Anyway, the other problem is in companies like mine where we make products for export, almost 100% for export. And when we talk to people like SME Bank or QNB and all that, they say, no, we want you to sell products in Malaysia first. They don't care whether you can sell outside or not. But the point is, they want you to sell products in Malaysia first when they know that the products you make cannot be sold here. Because it is designed for Americans or European maybe. And if you sell it here, you won't be able to sell because it's very expensive. Okay, so this is one thing which we find very difficult. And then the other problem is maybe because of Bank Negara's ruling, if I'm not wrong, all banks or most banks, they only lend money to companies that has a minimum of 3 years track record. Okay, now the point is, if a company has a fantastic business plan, just one more point. fantastic business plan, a very viable business, a good product, and he knows he can sell it. But this company doesn't have any track record. Would Hong Kong offer no?
You know, I think that's your name again, sorry.
Husaini.
Is it Husaini? It's interesting that you put up this question in the present environment. Let me just share with you this. If there's one thing that I think Malaysia has done very well post-1997 crisis is to actually build a very strong financial banking system. It is amazing that we have a 10-year master plan that was set up in 2001 that has been literally overachieved by the central bank in conjunction with the banking system players. Today, there is so much liquidity in the system, and I hope I don't. I hope you appreciate my comments. There's so much liquidity in the system. The bank's in dire need of growth. The bank's in dire need of new to bank customers. I would wonder, in some ways, two things: whether people have been frank with you and said why you're struggling to get your finance, and I'll share with you what are the possibilities. I don't think it's fair for a bank not to tell you why you are not able to get the financing, because I think that's worse, to keep people wrong and wrong. When I walk into a bank, I must be able to get an answer and walk away whether my proposition has been looked at it very seriously or not. Don't come and give me this fuzzy story and I've been waiting from 3 weeks to 3 months to 6 months. I've got a business to run. I think it happens in the banking system. I hear it from some of the ground, even in my bank as well, and these are the things that irks me. But from my own value system, I would question it for you. Now, if your business model is not sustainable, I will go deeper into layman's language. The banker must tell you why. What do you mean by a business model that is not sustainable? Now, let's say today you start a business and you say you're producing parts for a semiconductor company. Normally when you do this, you have to be very clear who your buyers are, your concentration, where your markets are, where your margins are, what are the key drivers to the business model. When you say if they cannot finance you, chances are your business model is not sustainable. That means I can put in money in, first year I can see the profit, or first year I can see traction, but I cannot scale after that. Now if a business cannot scale, you cannot sustain. That's the meaning of sustain. No difference in the leadership. You can sustain year in and year out, irrespective of who buys the company after that. That, I think, is the key thing. You see, the difference between a business that is below 3 years and after 3 years, you must not forget this. What is a bank? A bank takes deposits from the clients. I'm not a venture capital firm. I don't give those kind of loans. If you want those kind of loans, you must go to those 65 agencies and all that. But once you're writing quite differently, because you must not forget, we have to give back the deposits. The system must have the trust of deposits to us. If today I find everybody give loans, every bank gives loans to struggling businesses, I'm taking my deposit somewhere else. That's a very different rule for banking system.
I'm struggling because
Then you
don't have enough money to start.
No, so obviously you have to make sure that somebody buys the business model. Somebody's belief in the business model.
I'm not running a struggling business. I'm struggling because I cannot start that.
Yeah, that means somewhere along the line, you may have a good business model, but you may not be able to articulate it, or your business model is not scalable. Today, if you want to start a business, there are two ways to look at it. Either you must be happy to run a little boutique little business somewhere, otherwise, and that takes a bit of time, and it will give you enough money to survive, but it won't give you a fantastic story.
You see my business model, I think.
But if you look at the business model, if you have a business, if I want to put my time and effort into something today, I want to do a business model that I can scale. I mean, I cannot scale today. How do you compete with the low-cost imports coming from China? The low-cost imports coming from Vietnam? Because today, you can't survive on the subsidy and the protection anymore. And we are not talking about male, female, Bhumi, or non-Bhumi. It doesn't matter whether you're Bhumi or non-Bhumi, Chinese, Indian. I hope this group today understands what is meritocracy. It's not anymore whether we want to do meritocracy or not. We have no choice. The world is telling us to do. Having said that, I should take the opportunity to say that we can still make sure that we always, when we make it, there is room for us to help the poor, or else to help the people a bit more disabled. There's still many ways to do that. But you must make profit to be able to do this. So every business today is all about the ability to make enough margins to be able to sustain. So the market is very liquid. Literally, you walk into a bank, if you've got a good, decent business model and proven track record, there shouldn't be a problem for you in getting a loan. It'd be interesting to see what you're doing.
Next two questions, and then we'll give Dato a chance to answer. First question.
Dato, my name is Victor. I'm grateful to have the first photo with you just now. Okay, I wish you can share with us in the year of 2003 or 2004 when you come from ISP to Hong Kong banks after you replaced Dr. James. So how would you transform your core cultures, which from ISP bank to Hong Kong bank, which is so Chinaman? You have not told us. I wish you can show us. This is the first question. Okay, this is what I want to know. Okay. Second is that just like you were here, there are a lot of fresh grads, and just like you mentioned, academic achievement is not important. So if academic achievement is not important, what can impress you or impact you to be a good leader selected by you in your organizations? That is that. How will you build the bank mergers? Is Hong Kong will take over other banks in the near future? Thank you.
Alright, next question, the gentleman behind. Thank you. Yes, please. Yes.
My name is YCM Harvard Club alumni. I wrote a very inspiring story about you in Asian Banker Journal about your role of leadership in the M&A RHB under your boss, Yang Bahagia Tan Sri Rashid Hussain. Can you please give us your insights and experience in running RHB Bank from then until your switch over to Hong Kong Bank?
I think that's something that to answer.
Actually, it's a very interesting question. First, I must correct the fact. I didn't say academic achievement is not important. What I meant is, you must have the facts. I always tell people I'm not clever, but I'm smart. So when you say that they think you're not clever, so they try to they tell you everything. But anyway, on a serious note, I think academic achievement is important, but it's not the only thing. That's what my key message is. If you think you get 10 A's and you're going to get that job, no. The guy who got 6 A's is going to get the job because he's got a much more wholesome personality and knowledge of other things other than his technical knowledge. Now, I think the questions are two common questions first. Actually, what was very interesting, I asked myself the other day, actually without realizing it, I've actually worked for two wise, excellent entrepreneurs in the country. So, why did I do that when I could actually work with, say, very, 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 very established institutions where you don't have to worry who the owner is? Well, I guess I'm very easy. I'm actually very challenged by. I'm easily bored. I need to take challenges, and the minute I get bored, I wake up late to go to office. I say, what am I going to do? So in some ways, as a person, I'm actually easily bored. So I need to be challenged. The difference between RHB and Hong Leong is this thing. I'm actually very fortunate because to be working on the right hand of both the gentlemen. You must say something a little bit about my smartness, I hope, okay? But no, on a serious note, oh, it's amazing what the things that you learn from them. With Tan Sri Rashid, he was a guy with a lot of vision, but obviously he came from a stockbroking background. So my knowledge competency in banking was probably a lot more value to him. And it was unfortunate for him also the timing. And but because he was very bold, we were able to make the moves to become from the 6th largest bank to the 3rd largest bank in the country. It was really unfortunate on the other side of the business to stop working. Otherwise, I think today, if you talk about people who understand and who should have a stake in the financial services industry, it's him. And that's why I said life today is about timing. And for all your travelers, timing and luck makes a lot of difference. In the case of Tan Sri Quack, oh, it's amazing. You can never believe how a man can think way ahead, 10 steps ahead, of not only that situation on hand, about the industry, about the overall ecosystem. I'm still learning from him every day. But what makes, that's why I said, what do I contribute to Hong Leong, what do I contribute to RHB? To RHB, my technical knowledge in banking was much ahead of, say, the other people there. In Hong Leong, the chairman himself and the board are very banking savvy. So for me, it's about making the China bank into a relevant modern bank that is available for all Malaysians, irrespective of whether you're Chinese or anybody. So I used to call it the update bank. Why are you joining them? I said, I never realized it's got such an update bank until I went in. But the numbers were amazing. The numbers were good. But I think that's an easy story to do. The beautiful thing about this is, when you have the underlying fundamentals, Hong Leong had underlying fundamentals of good capitals, integrity of the people were technically sound, then so it's easy for us to guide them, and the talent were immediately, the potential was immediately harnessed. Now if you go to an organization that has not enough capital, and everybody is around there is political, so with all the vision that you have, you don't have the technical competency to bring them up. So you see why I'm saying about technical competency, academic knowledge, and the ability to get all this together. So even if Hong Leong had the capital and the technical competence, if they don't have the right people, they cannot move. Even if RHB has got the right people but didn't have enough capital, they also cannot move. So all this must come together. So I think that is what makes the difference. And if you ask me today what kind of people I look for, over the years I've learned I'm less impressed with people who can talk. I'm more impressed with people who can execute. And at the end of the day, it's the results. So you go around, whine and they find all kinds of excuses. I said, no need to talk about it already. Just show me the outcome that we have agreed. And these things overdevelop. And I used to tell myself, why am I doing this role? Because this role requires a lot of talking, inspiring, motivating, pampering people, then occasionally scold them, pamper again. But it is right that it's a lot of talking. But over the years, I also learned that there's also a lot of achievement and a lot of superheroes in the quiet achievers. And Hong Leong was a quiet achiever that did not know how to blow his trumpet. But today is a much different life. The money is very safe with us.
Hello, hi. I have two questions to pose to you. My name is Adrian Leong. My first question has to do with two remarks you made at the beginning of your talk. And the first was that you were offended by any possible remarks that you may receive about that you may owe your success to any form of a quota system. First of all,
I owe myself to the fact that I was given a job because it's a woman.
Oh, is that right? Okay. And then at the same time, you also made a second remark about how you think women have to work 3 times as hard to achieve the same level of success as men. So at that point in time, it seemed like a contradiction that on the one hand, you recognize that women have more barriers to success or achievement than men, and at the same time, it also sounded like you were against quota or just not just quota, but forms of affirmative action that allow women to have that same level of achievement as men. And I wondered if you did not see a contradiction in that, and what was your view?
Okay, let me clarify. Let me stop with it. Let me clarify this. You see, having quotas and having affirmative action through persuasion and guidance are 2 different matters. One is a bit more forceful, one is a soft approach. Obviously, I take offense 2 things as a mother and as a woman is when somebody thinks I have neglected my family at the expense of my success. I would take real offense on because it is precisely as I said, it's the family that makes me wanting to push on to give them a good life or give them a setup for opportunities. The reason why I say it's all about timing. You must not forget today, at the time when I first started, even an American bank did not recognize women at that point of time. So we have to work so hard. And I said that I work 3 times harder or even 4 times harder than the average male colleague. When I first joined Bank of America, I joined Bank of America as a young economics analyst. And I saw all the guys were going overseas for training, and they were doing all kinds of things. They were going out, they got all kind of expense account. Then I said, hey guys, what are you guys doing that I'm not given a chance to do it? And then I realized that they said, Yvonne, this job is not for women, it's for men because it is a credit and marketing job. Then I said, oh really? I said, so I managed to convince my boss, and I said, why don't you let me sit the exams, and see how we'll do it. So, before you can become this, you must take the credit analysis program, which I did. I think I aced it in that sense. For all my lack of academic achievement, I did ace that. So, I aced it, and I said, guys, now you give me an opportunity to do a sale. So what I did was, went up to the market, closed a few deals, and proved to that women can be in the marketing field. So it's about at that point of time. But today, I think to just put a quota and say that I must have 3 women directors itself is also not right. I mean, we have to fit it. I mean, we don't want to be there just because we are women, right? We are all educated women here. But what I'm saying that if we can enable everything being almost equal, why not a woman? We should facilitate that. That's what I mean.
Okay, I have a second question. Earlier also in your speech, you also made the remark that you think women leaders are everywhere nowadays, and I found that really hard to believe because from my observation that's not true at all, not among our government ministers, not among our MPs, not among our state elected representatives. And then I couldn't believe it, and then I saw this slide which you just showed last of all, which shows the number of female leaders in Hong Leong Bank, which I find very impressive and remarkable. And I would like to know, what is it that, I'm not sure whether this is true of all other banks, and personally I just assume that it is not, I presume that it is not the case. And I would like to know, what is it that has allowed, what are the structures within Hong Leong Bank that has allowed women to rise to such levels of success and achievement and leadership? Is it issues in your, is it policies in your hiring? Is it policies in your, the amount of the flexible hours which you allow women who have more domestic work responsibilities than men in our society? Does it have to do with maternity or paternity leave? Could you elaborate on that, please? Thank you.
I'm actually surprised that you say that you don't think that the outside, in the outside world, in Malaysia, that do you know we have a women governor, right? Do you know we have a woman SD chief, We have a Minister of International Trade that was a woman.
Yes, I'm aware of that, but I don't think that we should look upon these token individual women. Sorry, I take that, I don't think they're token. I recognize they achieved what they did on their own steam, on their own credit. But I'm looking at the more societal, social structures that exist, which allow women. And if you do not look at numbers, among the ministers in the Malaysian cabinet now, we only have 2 women, Yvvone Chia. Both of them are in disrepute at the moment due to corruption scandals. And I just But this is reported in the news. Among the elected representatives in the federal level, there's only 10% out of the 222 MPs which are women. That's one since Rantau Panjang, since one of them passed away, Dr. Nono passed away. At the other level, national-wide, other means a state assembly person, if anybody is not aware. Elected representatives at the state level is even lower at the federal level of 8%.
Okay. I have to disagree with that because you see, you cannot see that in a context. Even within the context of Malaysia, honestly, I think there's a lot of women in the academy or even public sector or private sector. You have to look at this from a context in America, from a context in France and Germany, from a context in even Philippines, Thailand, Indonesia. If you compare with the European countries, Malaysia has done very well. You compare with Philippines and Indonesia. Philippines and Indonesia has a lot of women at the top level as well. Why does Hong Leong have that number? It's actually very simple. Because Hong Leong has a very simple philosophy. Everything that you do is a meritocracy. So in the process, if you happen to be a woman, you happen to have the facts, you reach that numbers, the achievement, you get it. It actually was not planned and it was not forced. I was at the women seminar the other day, and there was this Pan-Asian Bank. They stood up with the head of Asia coming up to talk about how they have this system, they have this system, they have that system to set this women agenda in their CSR program. So I was very naughty. I said, okay, with all this complex process that you have, how many women that you have? They have none. So I said, I'm sorry, I'm this little tiny bank here. I've got this so much of women there without any effort, because the philosophy and the culture of Hong Leong was about the best person will be male or female. So the best man of job can be a woman. If you want to be among the women leaders, I think you rise faster. Let me give you a very bit of statistics. 60% of women in the academia, in the population are women. 60% of the banking system are women. So you throw a stone, likely a woman can be a CEO. But I must tell you, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, when I wasn't a CEO yet, I was also the head of business development for Bank of America. I was also the head. All the women that were running the corporate banking business, all the leaders that were running corporate banking business was women. That's how I network. Today, behind all the male CEOs in Malaysia, I can assure you that at least 2-3 women are at the top. Actually, there's a lot of women in the banking industry, so join us.
Actually, I think on that note, if I may, I would like to ask one question as well, because I find that observation quite surprising, and it's from a personal observation. What I find difficult to comprehend is that sometimes women are the victims of their own success. They are overqualified, and then of course there's too much competition, and then at the same time there are not enough strong males, to lead the war, and then there's this ego clash. I don't know. This is just my observation. Can you please comment on that?
Actually, you're quite right. If I know of a lot of very clever women who subdued themselves for the sake of the marriage.
Yeah.
So can you imagine if you unleash us on our own? But as I said, at the end of the day, I always consider myself very blessed. I do have a husband who is a very smart man, as far as I'm concerned, very clever in my view. And who's so confident in his own skill. So he doesn't have a problem how I succeed. But a lot of my women colleagues who rose up with me actually stopped halfway because in some ways their husbands could not catch up with them. And it was a bit unfortunate, their marriage either fell apart or in the end they gave up. But if you ask me today, as a relatively successful woman leader and who still is married, and I would tell you that at the end of the day, I can never give an advice to a woman whether you should go further or you should stay, because it is your own situation at that point of time. Now, I have full respect for a lot of women who decide to stay at home and bring up very clever kids. I don't think I could have sat at home and tell my kids to do this, to do that, which I can't, because I just am too impatient for people who are slow. So I would just say, what, where are you coming from? You have my genes, you know, what's the problem with you? So at the end of the day, as I said, for those who could do it, I just take off my head. And I do have one or two people who come to see me and say, where you want to go? I say, it's very simple, you have to make the choice. Because if you think it is difficult to get a maid today, and you have one child, you want to give the best to your child, and you can afford it, by all means. But if you think your marriage is important, that you think it's better to support them, also do it by all means. Like for me, it's like, I say at the end of the day, it's, as you say, for all these things, it's also a little bit of what they call it, rezeki, is it? Rezeki, yes. It's all how it comes together. Actually, you're right. I was actually very blessed. In the first place, I wouldn't probably have stayed any longer with a woman. A man is not cleverer than me. Okay? So, but you're right. Actually, it's quite sad, especially in certain cultures. It's quite sad. But at the end of the day, each of you will have your own situation. And if you ask me that at the end of the day, do we want to give up everything for it? I can't say. I was just fortunate. I cannot. So would I have carried on assuming that this? I can't explain it because I really don't know. I didn't have to come to this, you see. So in my own case, I was very fortunate. Yeah.
Sorry. I want to bring up the factor that you brought up. I did Peter from SB Securities, and you brought up an important point, I think, which characterizes by you as a leader, which is EI. You have CSI, now you have EI, emotional independence.
Not intelligence.
Right?
Emotional independence, not emotion.
Yeah. Here, I want to relate it to the practical experience. Prior to your leadership in Hong Leong, it is not, I don't consider it as a Chinaman company because I know the Hong Leong Group was very...
No, I say China is...
Yeah, it was very progressive at the time, all the way.
All very short sleeve.
But it's more of the question of, before you, the leaders were basically men, and the management were basically men. And after you went in, basically you changed, I would say, even culture, the structure. I mean, that's the external perception. This external perception. The skirt rules in Hong Leong now. The question to ask is, how do you use the EI to overcome the male chauvinism? You know, when you go in as a lady, you enter Hong Leong, I'm sure there will be a lot of comments. What is this woman here? How can a woman lead? All kind of things. Are we men? Are men, alright? This male chauvinism, how do you overcome it and bring yourself to a point whereby you could even...
Thank you.
You could even merge two very big organizations as Hong Leong and Yvonne. How do you overcome that? I'm sure every day, somehow or other, you will feel some men, especially those who think they are smarter than you.
Maybe the smart one left already.
If you were lucky that they left, then the smart one left first before even you can set that away.
I hope I would say, I think first of all, I don't think that's emotional independence. Emotional independence is about my value system.
Yeah.
How I do not compromise the value system. I think when you go to Hong Leong, in a company of a lot of Chinamen go, you know, Chinamen face. So that one is more EQ. Okay? That one's emotional intelligence. Oh yes, when I first went in, there was a lot of letters saying that, we're not used to have women and this and that. But I think at the end of the day, as I said just now, I just deal with the facts. And when the facts is there, what is there for you to fight me? But obviously there are times we have to find when is the right time to introduce a particular option, when is the right time to introduce new things and to take away certain things. it was tough. The first 2 years I lived, the first 18 months, it was very tough. But once I got it through, it was quite easy. And the way we drive our mergers, that came across because today I've institutionalized the organization. The difference before was, I think, while it was doing well, it was run very much like entrepreneurship. So it was entrepreneur, so everything is boleh jalan. So when things can work, it's fine. Before the crisis, everything can do through connections. Oh, you know that guy who's a steel maker in Penang, just call him, just get the deal done, say some Hokkien, speak some Hokkien. But those days are over. Of course, it still matters in a certain type of customer base. But where I believe I have added some value, I said some, I didn't say all, is where I have organized the bank in a way that today, whether Yvvone Chia is there or not, it doesn't matter. Whatever is there, what I've organized is that the business has its governance, its technology, its processes, and it's scalable. So whoever comes in will just have to tweak here, tweak there, and they can bring it to the next one. That, I think, it was not easy. It was not easy. Today, the diversity of talent in Hong Leong is very different from before. What you had before was people who a bit more aggressive, people who can socialize a lot more after hours a little bit, then you can drink a bit, make business. But it's a very strong sales culture. Because a very strong sales culture, you do very well, but your background may not be so good. So I think I combine them to bring them to the next level. Before I did that, it took me about 4 years that I felt when I was comfortable, then I said, now it's time for me to buy a bank. When I finish this next month and I'm going to do my internal integration, I'm ready for the next one. Because I've laid the groundwork for it. And at the end of the day, it's about the different types of people for different eras. You see, today, that means prior to my coming in, it was good that they bring in sales-oriented people. Because you can do a lot at that point of time. But now, over and above that, while you need to bring sales, you must also make sure you are having the right governance to scale it so that you don't get stopped by because one bad NPL because we do not have the right governance. So that's the difference.
Good evening to you, Dato' Chia. I have two questions. One is an embarrassing question. The other one is a sensitive question. But before I ask, I want to explain that I did not come here to ask these two questions. I have read so much about you, read about you, and then this is the only opportunity I can see and hear from you. Okay, I did not come to ask any questions. Okay, why I ask this question is just what I hear from you. You emphasize so much on delivering the best service to your customer and also delivering convenience to the customer. Okay, what the first question is like this. Okay, your bank and Hong Leong Bank merged. Okay, we have an account. My company have an account with Hong Leong Bank as well as Yvvone Bank. Along Jalan Kepong, you have two banks. I'm sure you are aware of it. So, Yvvone Bank, we issue a check. I don't remember the dates. Let's say, for example, okay, on Monday we issue a check. We know we are going to give to the beneficiary of the benefit. And then my wife goes to Yvvone Bank to cover the check. But when she went there, she doesn't have the account number with her. So she went to the counter, okay, please help me to check my account number. And then she deposited the money. So after we have given the check to the beneficiary, and then 2 days later, the beneficiary called me, our check is found. So later on, we realized that the counter girl deposit the money into Hong Leong Bank. So I had planned to go to the bank to explain and then try to maybe get the one bounce check record up and get 150 ringgit fine refunded. But until today, it happened about a few weeks or 1 month ago, but until today I haven't found the time, or maybe I thought maybe it's going to be a waste of time. So just now, Dato mentioned about policy, to make everything systematic, but it's not set in stone. Okay. So okay. Yeah.
What's the question, please?
Sorry. So, do you think I should go, or is it going to be a waste of time?
When did this happen?
Last month. Okay.
Second question.
Okay. Second question is it's a fact and undeniably that Tan Sri Kwek is a smart entrepreneur. Okay, he's a smart entrepreneur, but I think some people also know he's a high roller, sought after high roller. Okay. In my personal opinion, we should never trust a gambler. Okay, so I want to hear Dato explanation on this. Maybe Dato will tell us that he's a smart gambler, he never lose, or he has more than enough money to lose, or maybe it's a way for him to distress just like entertainment. Thank you very much.
You're obviously very long-winded. You make something simple so complex. So clarity is very important. Okay, first, I think I can understand where your issue is getting your child. You see, today we have the ex-Yvvone bank branches continue to run on their own. Both services are available, but certain services, because we have not, behind the IT system, we have not made it into one system. That happened, unfortunately, obviously, one of those situations where my people should have been more alert that actually it shouldn't happen. They should have checked it. There are many manual systems because you can toggle the system. And if that generally is the case, yes, you should go to the bank and demand that we pay back the 150 and that the name should be taken out of the list. Now the second question I thought was a bit naive on your part. Sorry, I'm going to be very blunt, because what you just asked is something that you hear saying. There's a lot of things in the market. I'm sure you hear a lot of horrible things about me. People who are very successful people. I consider myself an A personality. In people with A personality, in every decision that I make, in terms of entrepreneur, other than say running a bank, there's always a risk-taking. A risk-taking, you call it a gambling instinct, then you can always say it. But I think that's a market perception. Obviously, a lot of us do make some calculated gambling decisions. I think he separates that from the bank. It's nothing to do with us or from his listed companies. That's his ability. But I think to jump to the conclusion that he's a high roller, or that he wins all the time, or that therefore you don't trust him, is also, you're not putting facts into your analysis. You never trust any banker either.
Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for spending your time and your questions. I'm afraid I really have to stop, because if I go on, I don't think we're ever going to go back tonight. But that shows the amount of enthusiasm for tonight, and I sincerely thank everyone for coming here on a weekday, and it's a full house, and of course Dato as well, spending her precious time. So before we end, I'd like to invite Ms. Farhana, representative of Young Corporate Nation, to give a souvenir to Dato. Thank you, Dato, and thank you, everyone. With that, I would like to conclude our 39th CEO Series, Great Ladies at Work, and I am personally thoroughly inspired. I don't know about you guys, but let's hope and make it our career and for the nation a better place. Thank you.
end up with this. I don't think that people above 45 and above would have got the benefit of, or would have, that I would have given them the pleasure of so much of my time. Because I think you are the leaders of the future leaders of the country. The country needs a lot more. The country is at a trajectory today that we need to change the way we go about doing things. The way we need to maintain our standards of living and our GDP today. We used to be very, very admired, and for the country to go to that level again, all of us today, all of the young people today must have the process. Especially I think a lot and I spend a lot of time listening to what Idris Jalal is doing at Pemandu. I think he's doing a tremendous job, and a lot of people are putting a lot of water over it, and I think it's your job and my job to help this country sustain our leadership position in the world. If not, you see what's happening in Indonesia, we are going to regret it for the rest of the younger leaders that are coming in. So it's never too late, but it's important for us to remember that all the debate about it, why we need to transform, has to do no different like in any organization. To sustain the leadership position, today I may be the fourth largest bank in the country. If I don't continue the continuous improvements, I can lose my position overnight. So that is the same for Malaysia, and each and every one of you out there have a role to play. And please play it responsibly, because it's important for us as a nation. Thank you.
Thank you everyone, and good night. Have a safe journey back.